Hello to you. We start right here in London, where 76 people have been injured, at least 7 seriously, during a performance at a West End theatre. A ceiling collapsed onto what was almost a full house. 720 people watching an evening show. Emergency services saying most of those hurt were walking wounded with upper body injuries, and all are conscious and breathing. Well, now to the West End of London, our reporter Emily Thomas.
Yes, well, this is one of the busiest times of the year in the heart of London's West End. And last night there would have been around 720 people packing out the Apollo Theatre you can see here behind me. It was about 8:15, that was about 40 minutes into the performance, when witnesses say they heard a cracking or a creaking noise in the ceiling, and moments later plaster came falling down into the stalls, bringing with it parts of a lighting rig. Now dust came up from the stalls, people quickly hurried to get out of the building. And as they emerged, they were covered in dust, in plaster, they were bleeding, they were crying. And the emergency services were at the scene within about 3 minutes. And the BBC's reporter Tim Muffett was with a London ambulance crew when the call came through.
For one London ambulance crew, the first word of a major incident. By coincidence, we were filming with paramedics when news of an emergency at London's Apollo Theatre came through. Nearby theatres were soon turned into triage centres to treat the injured. Meanwhile, emergency services tried to establish what exactly had happened during the performance of this award-winning play.
There has been a collapse of heavy plaster from what appears to be the roof of the auditorium within the theatre. That's fallen down to the upper circle, the dress circle and the stalls. Consequently, we've got a large number of casualties, many of whom are walking wounded, who have been rescued by firefighters, paramedics and police officers, and are currently being treated and taken to hospitals in the area.
As far as we know, the roof collapsed above us, and I think I just obviously got a very sharp bang on the head. The next thing I know, I was in the foyer.
The people on the stage, I saw them look up. I thought it was just part of the show for a start. You just heard this noise, and then just all this rubble and plaster, and I thought it can't be, because I thought, oh, that hurt, and you just couldn't see anything.
This has now been declared a major incident, so 3 hospitals have been put on standby, and this bus has been commandeered by ambulance services, and injured from the theatre are being taken to St Thomas's Hospital.
They've been triaged on scene, where we give them a certain priority, and then basically our responsibility now is obviously to make sure they don't deteriorate.
For these theatre-goers, what should have been a night of entertainment culminated instead with admission to hospital. No fatalities, thankfully, but major questions as to why this collapse happened. Tim Muffett, BBC News.
Now, the cause of the ceiling collapse isn't yet clear. There have been structural engineers here until a few hours ago, and we're expecting a report from a structural engineer at 9 o'clock, just in a few hours' time. Now, witnesses say that just before the ceiling collapsed, water was trickling through the ceiling, and there had been very heavy rainfall shortly before the performance. But the fire service told us that they can't confirm whether that had anything to do with it.
Emily, we've got viewers on Twitter asking what's going to happen to this show, whether the Apollo will have to stay closed for a while. And the Apollo, of course, well over a century old. I guess it's possible that other West End theatres will have to close now for safety inspections.
Well, it's bad news for ticket holders of tonight's show and Saturday's show. Both of those have been cancelled, and the theatre says that it will be contacting people holding tickets and offering them exchanges or refunds. But it's just not clear whether the theatre will open again next week. It's a busy week for it. There's performance scheduled every day except Christmas Day. But of course, until they work out what the cause of the ceiling collapse was, they can't open the theatre. As for other theatres in London's West End, yes, many of them are very old. This one behind me is 112 years old, but we don't know yet whether there'll be investigations into any other theatres. There's no reason yet to think so.
Emily, there in Shaftesbury Avenue, thank you very much.